Hello, welcome to Kimmel Bay Church Vlogs. I was quite excited when I realised that the vlog that I was doing this time, I'd be looking at the most famous verses about love. But I was a little bit confused when I realised they were the same verses as Connor had used on his vlog just the other day. I was looking at the same verses. But then when I looked at the title, I became even more confused. We see through a glass darkly. This hardly seems the title for the verses that speak about love and how great love is and everything about love. But as we go further down these verses, we'll begin to understand the connection. How do you compare life now to when Jesus returns? So often we think that the life we have now is concrete, it is clear, it's here, it's now. And Christ's future it's there in the future somewhere. It's a bit of a wavy hope. Paul thought of things precisely the other way round. In the final paragraph of 1 Corinthians 13, Paul addresses our future hope when compared to life in the presence of Jesus. It's our present experience that's insubstantial. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when completeness comes, when it is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put the ways of childhood behind me, for now I see only a reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part. Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known. Those verses are from 1 Corinthians 13, 8-12. And Paul is trying to deflate the puffed up Corinthians and all their love for impressive spiritual gifts like prophesying and tongues and so on. He tells them that the candlelight of these experiences will be swallowed up by the blazing light of Christ when he returns. And Paul illustrates this in Paul uses three illustrations to compare the now and then. In verse 10, he calls the future completion or perfection. It's an idea of everything being brought to the goal for which it was designed. Everything that we have right now being perfected. All things now are subject to frustration. But then all things, our bodies, will work just as they were meant to work. Hallelujah for that. Relationships will work just as they are meant to work. The world will work as it was meant to work, in completion, in perfection. Verse 11 describes our future as maturity. Paul says, we are like children now. Even the wisest among us are like babbling toddlers compared to our wisdom and maturity then. In chapter 15, Paul tells us that we are like seeds that die. They go into the ground and rise up again. When we rise, we will be immeasurably more glorious than when we have gone down. Now we are acorns, then we will be oaks. We will grow up in every dimension, maturity beyond our wildest dreams. Then verse 12 describes the heart of our future, face to face with Jesus. Face to face is about closeness, transparency, openness, adoration, intimacy. Right now, this is where the title becomes clear. We see through glass darkly. We see Christ, but it's frustratingly indistinct. We have a foretaste of paradise, but it's a poor reflection. A friend of mine recently had her cataracts removed. She said many people say that when they have the cataracts removed, they see things so much clearer and so much brighter. The colours become sharper. And if you've ever worn a pair of child's sunglasses that are a bit dirty and smudged, when you wear them, everything's distorted and dark. And that is how we see life now. That is how life is now. It's distorted. And according to the Bible, that's how it is at present. And the polar opposite of how we usually think. We conceive that the present as life in technicolor. The present is solid. It's here now. We can only imagine life beyond as a shadow. But Paul says, no. Life now is like wearing smudged glasses. Everything now is grey and shadowy. When Christ returns, we will do life in high definition. What we see now is just a blur, but we will see the beauty. We'll see the true face of Christ face to face, and that is the heart of our future hope. Thank you for listening. Have a good week.